welcome everyone. There is a lot of you today, so it's a big pleasure to see so many people for Friends of Figma Montreal. So big thank you to all of you for coming today. It's our biggest event, so thank you so much. So I guess that's because of the subject that we have so many people today. We are very excited to discuss the AI trend. So what we are going to do today is to show you how you can use AI tools in the design process. And the biggest part will be we have a lot of demos. So I hope you'll be ready to see how AI is going to maybe change everything. But just before we jump in, I'm just going to ask Fabien from Shopify, because we want to say a big thank you to Shopify to host us today. They have a very big, look at the stage. Everything is so nice. So.
Hey, thank you, Damien. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Fabien. I work at Shopify. I just wanted to introduce Shopify for people who might not know what it is. So we're a platform, an operating system helping merchants and entrepreneurs all over the world. This event in particular counts a lot for us. So we're really happy to host it, because Shopify is at the forefront of the AI change. And I just wanted to reassure people that AI is not there for taking our jobs away, but in fact, that is just a new tool and a new era that will change a lot of things, and some parts will be left out for sure. But as an example, at Shopify, you may have seen on Twitter with the leaked memo, a lot of things are changing here, and AI is really at the very basis of the work at the beginning of every project. But it doesn't take away the design job, because in fact, Shopify just rehired a chief design officer, and that didn't happen in 7 years, I think. So AI is really about how you use it and the taste you're putting in it as a designer, as a tool, and not as something that is sentient and able to connect the dots as you're doing as a human. So yeah, thanks everyone for being here. If you have any question about Shopify, about how it works, about jobs, about anything, reach out to me. And there's also raise your hand. People working at Shopify, yeah. Yeah, and Max on the other side. MP and Salma here. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Fabien. So just a reminder before we start, you can join us on Slack. We have social media. We try to post when we have events. And also, if you have any feedback, you can scan the code. You'll see the code again at the end of the presentation. But give us feedback. It's really appreciated. We want to make sure the events we do are the best for you, and it's that you learn always new things. That's important for your craft and you as a professional. So let's jump a bit into what we are going to do tonight. So we have 3 people who are going to present to you how you can use AI in your day-to-day design process. So I'm going to kick off the show and the demos. I'm going to show you how you can use AI to explore ideas from the very beginning. And then Michael is going to show us how you can refine design using AI. And at the end, Alex is going to show us how you can use AI to test and iterate in a real world example on a product, something that actually happens. So you'll see the end-to-end process and what you can learn from it. But before we jump in, we have 2 disclaimers. There is just a slide for one, but the main disclaimer we want to say for tonight is we are not, the 3 of us, AI experts. We are not engineers. We don't do language models. So what we want to show you tonight is how you can use those tools in their current state in the design process. So we are here to explore and see what you can do. And everything changes so fast, so take what we are going to show you today with a grain of salt. But again, not expert, experimenting. And the second one will be, so we have a bunch of live demos, and I guess you can imagine how doing stuff live can be very tricky, especially with AI. So if something is not working, Apologies in advance, so sorry for that. We have some backups just in case, but so be aware, we might like stay for like, wait sometimes for like 2 minutes for stuff to happen, for AI to do its job, so disclaimer on the demo also at the same time. So those are just examples of AI tools you can find today, but I have a question first, like in the room, who's using AI like in the design or like their job day to day, almost every day? Just like raising, can you raise your hand? Okay. I think it's like what, can you raise again? I just want to, like what, 2/3 of you? Okay. We have some example here. You have like stuff like Lovable, I guess if you're a designer, that was a big one. You have V0, you have Onlook. On the engineering side, you have stuff like Bubble, weweb, and of course you have all the other ones, so ChatGPT, Claude, Le Chat, the French one, DeepSeek, Perplexity. But for tonight, we are going to only focus on some of them. So we are going to show you how you can use Lovable, Onlook, weweb, and Cursor in your design process. Okay, you know we always try to make stuff very interactive. So we'll see how AI can solve a problem for us. So we want you to choose the problem AI is going to work on tonight, at least for like the exploration part. So we have like 3 problems. So the first one we want to try is, so as a Canadian retailer, we see that tariffs are pushing more shoppers to seek out local products. So how can we help them spot and choose Canadian product? The other one, for those who joined us 2 events ago, no, 1 event ago, the last event, let's see how AI can help citizens in Montreal to find parking. So that's the second thing we have for tonight. And the last one, so I guess you heard like we just had an election. So as a newcomer, like in Canada, it's going to be the first time they're voting in the election. So how can we help them, like understanding how the vote works in Canada and what the process is? So let's do a vote. So the first one will be for the Canadian product. Just like raise your hands if you think one is interesting. 2, 3. Okay, so I guess it's going to be the first one. So we'll see how we can use AI to explore and experiment to see how we can help Canadians buy Canadian products. So I'm going to kick off the live demos. So bear with me if stuff are not working, but let's try to see what we can do with AI to solve our problem. Who knows ChatGPT? I want to see, who never used ChatGPT? Okay. So there is one thing you can do, is like prompting ChatGPT to maybe help you refine the process. So just to save time, we've done this in advance, but how can you actually have a better way to go from the question we showed you to like maybe a product, like a PRD document? So we'll share this document with you at the end of the presentation. You have like some like the tools we are going to show you and more of them. That's going to be resources for you later. But the first one will be to use deep research. So you have ChatGPT, but there is like a sub-product called deep research. Who knows deep research? Oh, okay, not that many people, okay. So in case you're wondering, you can search on like Gemini, ChatGPT, even Grok. You can do like basic search, but there is a more powerful way to do it called deep research. That's like doing like very, very deep research, going to look at website and give you like a document. So that's what we are going to do now. So first I need the prompt. So this is what I want to prompt. I'm going to say I want the best prompt for a problem. So I'm just going to copy paste because it's AI and I'm lazy. Oh, no, sorry, my bad. So I just pasted my problem. And then this is something I've seen I took from those two links above here. So those are best practices from Google Gemini and OpenAI on how to write a prompt. So I'm basically asking like the ChatGPT to use this document to then write the prompt for me for deep research because I'm that lazy. So here, I'm just going to copy paste all of this. So I want to have like a PRD at the end. So that's what I'm explaining over here. Make a PRD at the end. So here, I'm just doing the prompt. Send. We're not going to wait because that's going to take forever all night. So I already asked this in advance. And here I have the bigger prompt that's going to be used with like deep research to create the PRD for me. I won't go into details because it's actually not that great. If you look at some of the text, you'll see the limitation of AI, but just for the sake of experimenting, I'm going to copy paste everything and do a deep research. So you have something here. So you need, I think they just released like yesterday in the free version, a version of this, so that's very new. And I'm going to click on deep research. And then what's cool is that for some, like most of the deep research product, they ask like more questions before doing the deep research. So in that case, like do we focus on any type of company? If I want to focus on online or like other solution. And the last one, the length of the PRD, I'm just going to say, because I'm lazy, to do the best thing. Voilà. Voilà. So you have this bar. It's going to take a while, so we are not going to wait again. I've done this already. It's at least like 10 to 15 minutes. So I don't know also like the power consumption of this. So I know for some people that might be a concern, like the consumption of AI stuff. So just for you to be aware. And here I have the PRD. So I laid out previously in my before doing the deep research prompt, I asked hey, I want this very specific layout for the PRD. So the deep research took all of this and formatted this in a way that's matching the PRD format I want. And what's great, so you'll have access to this. In the FigJam, you have access to all the PRDs generated. I won't go into details now, but basically, it's giving you a bunch of details like buying locals. You have some links to check all the data it's giving you. So again, I won't go into details, but even competitors on the market, all the opportunities, stuff we can do, and so on. So that's deep research. You can always look at this and then work on that, but I think it's a very good start. So if there is a project you don't know, you want to make research, that's very, very useful to try to do this. The other thing is, who used stuff like Lovable, V0, any of those tools? Just raising your hands. Okay, very few people. So that you have those apps that with a prompt are going to make you websites, and that's what you want to do. So I won't show here, but I basically asked ChatGPT to create a prompt for me to then use in those tools to get the best result. I want the PRD, translate the PRD as a prompt for the AI tool that's going to make a first pass on the website. So that's also something you'll be able to find here later after the presentation. I won't show that now because it's going to take too long. However, I just wanted to show you something. I think maybe you've heard this, or you've seen this on social media, called Notebook LM. Who knows Notebook LM? Raising your hands again? Okay, perfect. So what I've done here, I drag and dropped the PDFs from my deep research and my prompt for my design, my first pass for the website. And what's cool is here, you can actually ask questions. So let's say you have a project, you have a bunch of documents, you don't know there is way too many information. You can basically drag and drop all the documents here, and then you have a chat, and you can actually ask questions like, what's important, like taking some notes. You can even do a mind map. So in that case, for a Canadian online store, you can see the problems, and then the findings. So it's great to see like information in that way, but again, you need to make sure the document you've put in Notebook LM are good quality. So I just put the prompt, I didn't check the result of the prompt, so I don't know if that's actually the best PRD to solve the problem, but you get the idea. You can start with like deep research, you can then put all the documents here, refine, and then this is a better tool to like search information very quickly. An example I used actually at my job was putting a bunch of documents, and I wanted to make like slides on Figma to recap the project. So I was like, hey, can you like, I want to explain to designers in like 10 slides the project, and then I got like the bullet points using this. Okay. So now let's go into the bigger tools, I guess like the real star of the show tonight. So one of the tool we want to show is Lovable, because I think it's the most known. They actually released version 2 2 days ago. So what is Lovable? So I'm just going to open this. So this is a tool where you can prompt anything, and it's going to give you a website based on like the prompt. You can attach the Figma file. You can also attach images. So that's what you can do. So again, I won't show because it's very slow, but basically you can prompt what you want, and this is what I got first time. Can I? Yes. Okay. So again, I had a very big prompt. I put in the box on Lovable, and this is what I got. I have my main page, so I can shop now, I can explore products. I have categories. I think for images, they use like a image generator, and then some featured product, and then you can see who's producing those products. And you even have like a tab. If you click on all products, you can actually like shop. Here, I want to only show Canadian product. I got like those tags automatically. I just want to see meat pantry. It's very dynamic. So I think it's very good to get like a first pass on a design. So if you don't know like where to start, that could be like a way to see how things could look like, but it's not perfect. But the real deal with those tools is like you can prompt, so ask the tool to make something new for you. So this is when we need you. So you see the website. So we have like 3 tabs, the home tab, all products, and then the Canadian product tab, but that's broken. I don't think the search works. There is no cart. You see there is no cart. So I want to know, okay, so we need to add features. And we want to see if the AI can actually add the features for us. So does anyone want to see anything specific? And yes, I'm asking you. We'll see if in real time we can get an example of a feature or something that's missing for you here. Like if you would be designing a website to show Canadian products, you've seen what the AI came up with. What's missing? What do you think we should add or like even just change? Yes. Okay. I mean, we have the filtering here already. Like if I click bakery. Something else? Yes. Okay. I think that's a very good example because I don't think that's going to work, but we'll see. On purpose, I'm trying not to be too specific to see what happens. So this is the annoying part. We need to wait. Okay. So I think the best way to, again, see this is like you're exploring. You have this tool, a PM came to you, you have a client you're working with, you're like, okay, you can go maybe like in Figma, maybe you have some mockups you can draw, but what if you could show your ideas a bit more quickly? That might be a way. I think it's going to take a very long time, but that's fine. Okay, so it's going to do a wish list page. I would have, so I'm going to repeat if you didn't hear what Fabien asked. So how would I properly write the prompt? That's something I'm going to show just after, but if you try those tools, you'll see like the more like specific and focused, you'll get the best result. So maybe like the best approach would be, oh, actually, like I want to have a specific page and then to get the page made first. Maybe like, oh, I want to have like a wish list icon on my items. So sometimes that might be the best way to do it, like to just focus on one thing. Okay, so it's done. Let's see if it's good. Okay, I'm gonna go on my products. I have a heart now. So I want to have like the organics apple. So I'm gonna, oh, you see, I didn't even ask for the toast. I didn't say, oh, I need a toast, like just to confirm anything that happens. But then the big thing is, okay, can I just wish list? Okay, my wish list. It's not me. It's the it's whatever is in the cloud. It's not me. Okay. So I won't do another demo because you see it's taking some time, but you can really see. So that was a quick example, but you can really try and play around. And just when you start, you can, take your time, and you'll see what you came up with. But then as you try them, you'll see, oh, I need to be more focused on what I'm asking. Okay. So. I guess it's just refreshing. Yes, you can see that's not something that's going to be saved. That's one of the downside of those stuff. It's good for testing, but don't ever push any of this in production. Okay, so that was like a quick example on Lovable. Who knows? I'm going to switch to another tool that's a bit more like for like engineering, but I think it's very fun. I want to show you like how you can use it. Who knows Cursor? I'm very, like, how do you know more Cursor and not Lovable? I'm actually very surprised. Nice, okay. So there is a way, so you can plug this in Cursor, but I want to show you, so I'm going to drop this, how you can be a bit more creative, because I showed an example, but, okay. I'm going to show this one. So, you're a designer and you want to update your portfolio because you waited like 10 years like everybody else to do it. So that's actually something I'm working on right now. Everything you're seeing here, I use stuff on the web, or I just prompted Cursor, I'm going to show you how, to get this result. So the vision I have for my portfolio, I want to make like almost like a phone, a screen you can tap and see content. So everything you'll see, even the animation, those are stuff I described to Cursor. For example, here, when I click on something, I want the content to expand and look. So it took me maybe like 2 hours to get this result. But as you prompt, you can explain like maybe like the animation is not smooth, and then you can give all those details as you go. And I just focused on one specific feature, and you can make something work. So that's one example here. Another one was like, okay, I want dark mode. So I just said, when I click this button, just turn the thing in dark mode, and boom. So I just used the prompting to do it. And another thing I've done, who had an iPod maybe like 15 years ago, 10, I don't know. It's all, okay. Do you remember like how you would see the albums, like cover flow? Do you remember that? Okay. Please work. So, to get this, I just asked, and again, trial, I'm like, hey, I want, when I open one of my tiles, make a UI that's like covers, like just do like a cover flow, and at the beginning I said, just use random colors and emojis for the covers. After some trials and errors, this is what I got. So I can use the arrows on my keyboard. It's linked to my Apple Music account. That was more technical, but just to show, like, I was able to get a result like this. I was able to like just play around. I can even play the music. I won't play the music. But now, let's say, I want to show you how you can also use AI to be creative and get what you want. So one thing I've done, so I'm hoping it's going to work now, is what if I could, in real time, change this UI to get what I want? Like, you know, to have like knobs, like maybe I want to change the spacing between the albums, maybe I want to change the blur. So can we actually do this? I've done it, but I'm going to do it now and see if that's something we can actually do. That's the UI for cursor. I know it's scary for designers, it's code, but we don't really care about like the left side. We want to focus on this window. This is the like all the UI like you see for AI, it's just like a prompt box. So here, I'm going to describe what I want. So I want to have controls on my screen to be able to play around like with the UI and see what I can get. So I'm going to write the prompt and see what happens. Okay. So I was a bit more like specific, but still vague, just for the sake of time here. So let's see if that's going to work. So what's cool is when you use cursor, and it's actually reading all the code you have, like the code base, when you have a product. So you can imagine maybe asking an engineer to like, hey, what's the file? What's, you know, what are you using to use cursor? And then you can just focus on the prompt because it's going to read everything. Oh, did I have an error? Oh, no, okay. And the cool thing about cursor, like if you don't know code and you don't know how to use those things, you can just ask cursor to do it something for you. For example, you might be asking, oh, how do I have my website here, localhost? I'm not an engineer, so I just asked cursor like, hey, I want to be able to see this on my laptop. What can I do? And it just did a bunch of stuff, run a bunch of like command to like have a server that's running, but I didn't write anything. I just asked like, that's what I want to be able to test in real time. It's going to take some time, but it should be nice, should be cool. So far, maybe I spent 15, 20 hours, but I'm very picky, and you have to do a lot of back and forth. But you can imagine how, if you would try to do this in Figma and then see this live and see the result of the animation and have content, it would take you forever to do this. Because a good example of those tools, you could ask, we had like product before on the Canadian website, but you could say, add 50 more products, and the AI would generate those 50 new products just to have maybe like pagination, the search. You could even try to make the search work. That's something you can actually do with like a lot of trials. And you can see here what I'm doing, I'm prototyping. If you think about it, I'm like, okay, I have my design, I know what I want to do. You can imagine you have like some files, something on Figma that looks alike, but you want to try the UX, you want to experiment and show your PM or other people. You can really get results very fast if it's working, or like you might need to wait for the prompt to work. Good question. So the question was, how do I go from Figma to something like this? There is a bunch of, I'm forgetting the name. Yes, thank you. Plugins, stuff like this, that's like trying to export from Figma to Cursor. I actually tried to make a plugin. You know, you can make plugin on Figma, right? You could try to use AI to make one, maybe. Just a thought. It's been a pain in the ass. I've been trying, but it's hard to make it work. But on paper, that's something that should be feasible, but it's not very well. Like you have those plugins, but it's never the exact component. And that's a big issue right now with all those tools is you need to like maybe write down like, oh, I want the buttons to be that color, the spacing between like the text size. There is nothing yet that's just taking a file and just using the actual details of the file to like do it. I think Lovable is trying to pretend it does this, but I tried and it's not. Like if you have the spec of a button, it won't be the spec unless you document the spec in the prompt. Ouais. I'm not showing it here, but yes, you can take all the files, use GitHub to get everything you did on Lovable to then move into Cursor. You can also do most of the stuff in Lovable. I'm just trying to give you an example. Okay, thank you for the question. It's done. We'll see. Okay. Because some stuff are broken, you can see like the color changed. So like, oh, before all my icons were like white, now it's black. That's something you can go back and fix, but just for now, I want to see if I can customize my UI. And of course, it's not gonna load. Maybe. Ah, okay, it's ugly, but you got the. Then that's when you don't see me for like 2 hours going to like fix everything. Maybe not for like 2 hours, but here, let me move. It's a bit broken, but okay. Imagine if it was perfect. Here, look, I can change the height. Is it changing? Perspective. Yes. I can change the size of the items. You see how like the wave is working. So you could imagine like you want to work on something a bit specific. Maybe you want to use like a shader to do an animation, like on the background on the web page, for example. Even on mobile, you could see like you using this, and instead of like going on Figma, asking or even playing yourself using prompt and being a bit creative to do something like this. I've seen this because I know Apple sometimes, they use like Swift UI to design stuff. So that's an inspiration from, hey, I can have my own UI as a non-developer to play around to find the perfect like look and feel. But it's not perfect. You can see stuff are a bit broken, but that's fine. And just a quick note, so I won't show tonight, but you can also do this on your phone. It's working with like native iOS apps for web, Android. So you can really play. And I would highly recommend try those tools, and you'll see how you can unlock the creativity that you like. Sometimes you spend the time in Figma, but it's never like the look and feel that you want. You can use those to have this as a. You can make stuff for real. I'm having so much fun to use AI. I'm like, oh, it's unlocking my brain to get what I want. Okay. So let's go back. So that was for the exploration. I have way more, so maybe at the end people can come see me. We can discuss this. And now let's talk about how you have some tools to refine some design after you did like all this exploration.
Thanks, Damien. Okay. Thank you for this demo. I found it was pretty interesting to see from nothing, I can have a real product that I can ship to my developer or my PO to test my idea, or even for a user test. But I noticed something. Did you notice too? To edit, you have to prompt every time. What if I can really refine, like maybe Figma, like a designer, like you can really enter into the layer and edit by yourself, because this is what we're doing. So I'm going to show you how we can refine and not only prompting. I'm going to take the same prompt that he used for the Canadian local. Where is it? Where did you put it, mister? Yes, it's here. Okay, thank you. So that was the first one. Yeah, open it. No, that's the result. You have the prompt, mister? I'm lost with your computer. Sorry. Et le prompt que tu as utilisé. Ah, ok. Oh, c'est celui-là, oui. Ok. So.
It's live.
Yeah. Okay. Let's copy all of that. I'm going to show you with another tool because right now those tools are proprietary. That means you cannot transfer from one tool to another. Let's copy all that. Okay. And let's go to a tool called Onlook. Have you heard about Onlook? Raise your hand. No? Okay. So it's very, very beginner, like it's very alpha application. And what I'm going to show you, they might like crash many times. So just to let you know, but I have so much fun to play with it. Why? Because I can really edit as a designer and continue to prompt. So I'm going to do a new project here, start from scratch, or I can import too. Let's do the same prompt. And it should be very quick to create. Like we're going to see like real time. So have you ever feel like Figma was a bit limited to express your ideas sometimes? Yeah? Raise your hand if you have this situation, yeah? What you wish you could do with Figma that Figma doesn't allow you today? Maybe one person? Prompt? Okay, you would like to prompt? Because they other do that. But let's continue to this, like he's gonna draft the copy. Sorry, guys, it's long. Okay, finalizing the design. It's gonna set up all that. And it's gonna be interesting to see a different result. Like you saw that sometimes ChatGPT gives you two different answers. That would be the same situation here. We will have another design and we're gonna ask you to add another feature. So if someone can give me another feature that we could import into this Canadian grocery store. Someone?
Not the wish list.
Not the wish list. Alex? Percentages. Okay. Okay, I'm interesting to... How do you think about... Okay, the percentage. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Starting the project. It's coming. I should create before. It's coming. But yeah, so we're going to add the percentage. We're going to see what is the result right now. Okay. Port in use. Great. You have something. Okay. You have cursor. See it loading, and while it's loading, I'm going to show you quickly the experience. So on the left side, you have all your layer, like Figma, your pages, your image, your window, your brand. You can manage your font and your brand color. You can also chat with the AI if it's going to run, maybe. Okay, that's a massive fail. Okay. Yeah. Whew. I was about to give up. Yeah, so on that we want to add the percentage, you say, Alex. Let's try it. Okay. Off. Okay, it's gonna think, but it's pretty fast for thinking. While it's gonna work, I'm gonna show you that if I select every item, I can stylish by myself. So that's the power of this tool, and some other like Lovable are starting to implement that, but it's much more faster to do editing here, like Figma, than prompting. And the result is exactly what I want, not what could be from the interpretation of the AI. So let's say, for example, if it's still running, I want to change the color directly. Well, I just have to click on this button, for example, and I'm going to put it like very light green. Did you notice something? It's updating everything because it's component. So that's the power of this, and I really like the fact that I can really take control of this. And I want to do a test for you with another prompt. Okay, percentage is displayed somewhere, I don't know. Okay, let's try something. Sometimes we want to check the accessibility, right? Why not asking the AI to do it? Run accessibility contrast check. What I love about it, it's gonna actually give me the result of the whole page. For each page, it's gonna calculate if it's exactly according to the AAA. Okay, so they made the adjustment. No, apply. Okay, apply. Failed to apply. Awesome. I love to do a demo like that. I told you like before that it's always messy for that. I want also to preview here. I can really preview my design directly. But I want to point something for you. Did you notice something about this design? Please, someone. No? Yeah? Yes, too. She was saying that when you change the color, it didn't change for all the button on the top, the big button on the top. But first of all, do you like the design? No? Why you don't like it? Tell me. It's generic, yeah. And that's the problem with all of that. It's super generic. It's gonna be a very vanilla style for this design. It works. You can really play with it. That's fine. But to really having taste, and that's something I want to mention later on the conclusion, is a lack of taste. As a designer, we know that it's like probably that junior work or like dribble work maybe. It's not gonna go far. So if you want to implement your brand, that's the moment where this tool is pretty cool to edit by yourself and also import in the chat eventually your brand guide. I want to show you also another tool that it's pretty interesting for the discovery of it, is sometimes you're just lacking of inspiration, right? No? Me all the time for the UI. So I discovered this website. It's called 21stdev, where you can basically copy the prompt, and the UI, the chat will give it to you right away. I'm not gonna do it live because you see it's gonna take some time, but you just have to copy or send it to V0 and it will do it for you the same way. Imagine you're working on your portfolio and you're just lacking of time and you want something nice with nice animation. This is like perfect tool for that. Lastly, on the tool I want to show you is the, what is it called? It's here. Sorry, I'm a bit messy with this. Yeah, okay. On the resources, you will see there's another tool that we didn't put it here. It's called, sorry guys. It's yeah, Subframe. Have you tried Subframe? maybe? No? Okay, sub. Okay, I'm not gonna create an account live. I just want to show you that it's also very similar to Onlook with the option to edit every layer of your design. But one thing I want to mention about all that is okay, you have something functional, it's working, but what if you want to adding a database? What if you want to adding a logic? What if you want to having like the whole shopping flow experience? That's a bit limited and it's going to take you a long time to iterate. And I want to pass the mic to Alex, who's going to give us like a real demo on a product that is used by thousands of users right now. And we'll see what is cooked for us.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Alex. I'm a product designer. And yeah, like Michael said, today I'm going to be presenting you a real case study, actually, that I created all by myself. But I didn't use like the vibing back then. Bear with me. By the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you the new AI capabilities in that tool, which I think are extremely powerful, and we're going to be able to do like really nice things with them. But what I'm going to be presenting today is a tool called weweb. Did anyone in the audience ever heard about weweb? So weweb is basically, they position themselves, so they've been up and running for a few years now. They position themselves as before like a no-code platform. So I don't personally like the term no-code. I prefer the term visual development because you can do a lot more than just no-code. Actually, sometimes you can inject code also in the experience and to make things more even powerful. So I'm working for as a product designer for a company called Circle Medical. Circle Medical is a telehealth organization based in the US, in San Francisco, and we have an office in Montreal also, where it's a place where patients can book an appointment with primary care providers, doctors, and have an appointment, a virtual appointment actually. We're operating only in the US. It's not available in Canada, unfortunately. And we've processed like 2 million plus video appointments. There's 450 providers that are working for us, and it's a fast-growing organization. In 2023, actually before all the vibe coding things, I discovered this tool, and I saw an opportunity at Circle Medical to improve what we call the web booking flow. So what you see here is the marketing website. So people can discover the brand, who we are, what we are actually offering. And then as soon as you click here on the Book Now button, you land into a section, what we call the web booking flow. So you're ready to actually book an appointment with a medical provider. I'm going to use the dev environment so I don't book a real appointment with a real doctor. But so the complexity here it's a lot more like complex than a standard website because you have to do multiple interactions with a real backend. You have to fetch information. You have to push information to the backend. You have to log the user in at some point, and it's a real application, even though it just looks like a web experience. It's a real app at the end of the day. So this is actually what I was able to create. I'm going to show like the live demo, and then after that, I'm going to explain you how I was able to build that in the first place. And finally, I'll show you all the new AI capabilities that they added recently to even accelerate that process. So here, let's say I like Circle Medical, the brand. I would like to book an appointment. I enter my zip code like this, and then I select the appointment type. So, for instance, wellness exam, Then I click here to confirm, and then I select, I don't see my insurance. Okay, I'm gonna pay out of pocket. And then here, I'm gonna see the availabilities. Bear with me, this is just the dev platform. That's why there's not much availabilities, but we have more in the production platform. So all what you see here are actually real data fetching from a backend, our backend. So you see all the real availabilities. It's not mimic, it's like real thing. So you can click on it, then you see the doctor that you're gonna book with. Here, normally you would enter your information like this, but for the sake of the example, I already created my patient. Then you update the patient here, then you have to enter your home address, enter the address. I can skip for now, for instance. I enter my payment information, then I click here, and I confirm my booking. Boom. So everything you saw here was created by myself, actually. I have zero technical capabilities. Like, I'm not the software developer. I'm a product designer. I used to code a little bit at the beginning of my career. Like, I know slightly how HTML, CSS, and JavaScript works, but I'm not technical at all, actually. So how was I able to achieve that? Like we saw, like all the vibe coding, it's pretty cool, it's extremely powerful, but when it breaks, what do? And you're a little bit stuck in those situations. And I think a tool like this one, it's pretty cool because you have full control of the experience you're actually building. So this is what they call the editor. So it's similar to like Lovable or the other tool that Michael presented. Basically, what you can do is, first of all, you can connect to data sources. So back at Circle Medical, we have a really well-documented API. So I actually went through all the documentation. I figured out what the API endpoints were, what I can do, like how can I fetch it, what can I post. And then after that, I was able to just create all the connections. So for instance, here we have the list of product or insurance companies, for instance, or the invoices, like we have actually all the endpoints. So I add them here. It's pretty simple. As an example, product. So I add this here, select like REST API. So there was a little bit of a learning curve for me to use that tool at first. I needed to better understand like what's a REST API, basically how is it working, what's the logic behind it, how do you get information, how do you post information. But it was quite simple, actually. It took me just a few weeks to get into it, and then I pretty much figured it out. And then you connect your endpoint like this, select the URL of the endpoint, and you're able to fetch data from basically your database, like that. When that's done, you can start adding elements on the page. So as an example, here I added an input field, I created a section, I added the input field, the button, and you have full control on your design. That's pretty interesting. It was appealing to me, actually, so I was able to create the whole experience exactly like how I envisioned it. The only thing is I designed most of the interface in Figma first because it was faster to do than directly in here. Still customizing, it's a little longer here than in Figma, but you have full control on everything. So you can click on the text. You have exactly like Webflow, if some of you are familiar with it. You can do pretty much everything here. And what's really interesting also is they're offering capabilities so no code capabilities in order to do some interaction as well. So there's a functionality here called workflows, where you can basically create a function in programming. So you create like, if the user enters this, do that. You can save some data in a variable, another concept that I got familiar with. A variable allows you to store temporarily information for you to reuse it later in the experience. So there's the workflow or the functions. There's the data from the backend. There's the variable here where you can store the information that you can create. And then you just start adding components, connecting everything together, and then you can create a real experience. And so that's what I did here. And at some point, actually, it became so fast to create new functionality that I was not even to be honest, I was not even using Figma anymore. I was just designing feature, like live feature, and we were shipping them and A/B testing them with real user to figure out if it was working or not. We had a really good setup in a tool called Growthbook like this, so we can figure out if the experimentation was working or not. And then if it was not working, we disregarded the feature. If it was working, we kept it and we move on. And with that setup, we were able to basically ship multiple features per week over the course of a full year and get to a point where it was kind of the optimal experience that we build. So I'm presenting that in kind of a vibe coding event, but and the reason why I am is this tool kind of took the inverted approach of the other tools that you saw today. They started before the vibe coding era, so they actually created a tool that allows non-developers to create real experiences, and then they added recently, I think it was like this year actually, you could see the release date, like February 13, 2025, so it's really new, all the AI capabilities that you saw in other tools. So basically, like this, like every other tools that you saw today, there's a section here on the right where you can start previewing, and you can select AI. Then you can start prompting the AI that's going to do everything that I've shown you on your behalf. And what I find really interesting in their approach is you have basically full control, because you saw I did everything without AI first. So basically, I can show you that you can do everything with that platform. And then the AI just is helping you accelerating things. So for instance, I could prompt, the AI is going to do pretty much everything. And even if it messes some things up or I'm not totally satisfied with it, I don't have to reprompt and wait 2 minutes while I'm pouring myself a coffee. Actually, I can just start doing the work myself and fixing it using their highly sophisticated visual development tool. So yeah, that's pretty much my use case. This says it's live in production. Thousands of users are using it on a daily basis, and it's working really well, actually. Yeah.
Why did you have to do that in your company? What was the starting point of, I'm going to start that?
Yeah, so why did I started that in the first place? We had no software engineer available, actually, to work on the project. I say we because there's another designer that was working with me in collaboration on that. We had a really nice concept. We wanted to make that happen. And there was basically no software engineer available at the time. So, and it might look like now, oh yeah, wow, it's working and it's well, but I went through a lot of milestones actually in order to get there. First of all, I needed to convince the CTO that we were going to use a no-code platform in production where real users are going to be using it for a telehealth company in healthcare where it needs to be HIPAA compliant, which is the highest standard of security in the US. So I needed to prove myself, actually. And the way I did that is, first of all, I give him a pitch. I discovered weweb at kind of the same time. I saw the project, the opportunity. I met with the CTO. I told him, I think there's an opportunity for me to build that. And I could see that with this product, me as a designer, I could see a future where I could iterate extremely rapidly and test my own ID without having to actually go back and forth with some developers. I could have full control in my experience, and it could really like change the game, basically. So he said, you know what, Alex, like whatever, give it a try, create a proof of concept. And this is how it got started. I created the first proof of concept. And then I created, the proof of concept was basically just the first page where we could fetch, for instance, I think it was a product or the appointment list, and you can click on it, and then it will fetch the availabilities. And then I presented that, they say, oh, that's pretty cool. Can you create a third section, fourth section? And then at some point, I heard like kind of a bad news, that like the CTO told me like, oh yes, but is it HIPAA compliant, this platform? Oh. And I told him, wait, I'm going to look. So I contacted weweb to figure out if it was HIPAA compliant, and weweb told me like, no, unfortunately it's not. So what can I do? They say you can self-host the thing yourself. So personally, I didn't know how to do that. And at the very same time, we actually hired a software engineer that was a new person, part of the team actually. And he actually really jumped in my bandwagon that I was creating, and he started to get all in that tool. So what he did is he actually started to create custom plugins here. So he created a bunch of plugins that allowed me to do more things. He created a setup where we can self-host the platform itself with a GitHub repo where you can sync this project to like the repo and then upload it in our own servers so to make it HIPAA compliant. He created a setup where we can test it in a product development environment and a production environment. So him and we actually, so I could not have done everything you saw alone. Everything you see, I did it alone, basically, but everything behind the scene that makes it like secure and everything, I needed to collaborate with the software engineer to achieve that. He's in there, by the way, like you can see his avatar there, and it's kind of a collaborative tool, a little bit like Figma. If I would be in the same page, I could see his mouse actually moving around. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. And by the way, one really interesting thing about the AI part is not only the AI for weweb, they're positioning, like they're kind of like three major things you can do with the AI in weweb. First of all, you can just prompt and say, build me an e-commerce, for instance. Thing that I'm not the biggest fan of because you don't have control on your design in the first place. It's kind of the AI that designs the thing for yourself. The second thing is you can build an experience, and let's assume, for instance, that you would use a component that weweb created. So there's a bunch of native components that are here on the left. So as an example, let's take a calendar, for instance. So there's a calendar component. Let's say I was going to drag that here. The problem is I cannot modify this component myself. I'm kind of stuck with what weweb is actually offering behind the scene. So for me to modify that, I would need to know how to code. And even before, I could not do that. I couldn't do that. But recently, with the AI, they've actually launched. I'm gonna go here. They launched the possibility to fork a component. So you pretty much can take the component, create a fork of it. So the fork is basically create a copy of it. And then with that copy, you can go and open the code editor. So you can start editing the code of a specific component. And then, if you want, you can vibe with that code. So you can ask the AI to rewrite that code to make whatever you want. But the AI is only going to touch, basically, this component to make it the way you would like to. And after that, you use it as it is, as an object in your experience. And you're sure that it's not going to break everything else, actually. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea. The third thing about AI also is that you can create plugins, for instance. You can create everything else that I was not able to do myself, like the software engineer did. So there's a bunch of things that you can do in order to push the boundaries even more. For instance, in there, like as an example, here there's a thing called like the formula. So here you can write formula in order to do things with the data that you see on screen. But this formula can also be JavaScript. But if you don't know how to code JavaScript, you're a little bit stuck. So what can you do in there? You can edit with the AI. So you can ask the AI to write the JavaScript on your behalf. And it's only going to touch this piece of JavaScript in order to achieve what you're actually trying to do. So it's pretty interesting, a lot of possibility. For the sake of this demo, I'm not going to touch this project with AI because it's still in beta. And if you look carefully at the top right corner, it says, use with caution and consider testing on dedicated project to avoid potential issues with your current project. So I'm not willing to actually prompt in this project directly to start modifying stuff around and like break things. But I created a new project here just for the sake of testing it. So if you guys have any ideas, is there any one of you that would like me to prompt something to see if it can do something interesting? Or otherwise, I can do that in the demo if none of you. Yeah. Yeah. Undo? Yeah, you can undo. Yeah, for sure, I could undo. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, so yes, you can pretty much undo everything you do in that same session. So up here, you can undo and redo stuff. So yes, technically. But I would just be afraid that there's one thing that I wouldn't see, and yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes? You import code base? I'm not 100% sure. I think it might be a little complex to do. This is Vue.js. I don't know what your code base is built on, but it's not adapting to an existing code base. I think you would have to replicate that and then build on top of this tool. The what? I didn't. The styles of the components, yes, you can modify the styles of everything actually. So whatever when you click here, you can go and edit, and then you can edit pretty much whatever you want in the right section. And all of these things, by the way, if you know a little bit, the code are basically CSS elements that now you have access no code, so you can control the CSS. So basically you're controlling code with UI. But as a developer, if you were going to create a plugin or a component yourself, you can create more of these controls on the right side. So a developer in your company could have a more rich component, for instance. So, yes? Yeah.
What's the catch? Like, why is it not more popular?
What's the catch? I don't know. It's so full disclosure, where we actually, this is going to be, I'm really glad of that experience, but it's going to be replaced in the future actually by developers that we've hired. We kind of came to saturation with that tool because I'm showing you just a piece of it, but we created so many other things in the experience, and it became just too big. We were like 5 people collaborating, and yeah.
After you finish
Yeah.
What are the biggest companies that use this? Like the biggest corporations that would use this service?
To be honest, I don't know. There's L'Oreal, PwC, Decathlon, but like the thing is, I think it's just not popular. Maybe because it was poorly branded in the first place. They're a company from Paris. They're a small company. They're not part of the big players. When people think about no-code tools, because that's how they position themselves, they think about Flutterflow, for instance, which is a bigger company like ex-Google that created that. And for them, I don't know, it's the way they created the product. But I really like their tool, actually, and allowed me to do everything. Maybe just poor marketing, I don't know. Yes? We could migrate if we want. You can export. Yeah, it's a Vue.js application, so you can basically, when you click on deploy, you can say, if you export, so you can export the code, and they even created a GitHub repo where you can sync, like all the thing my engineer did manually, actually, they're offering that now, so you can sync it with a real repo. You can modify your code if you want there, but it could like break if you try to bring in back in weweb. But yeah. Any other questions? Yeah?
Last question?
No, last question.
So I guess the power of this is that like you have all the data sources that you can like create, and like so can you actually create a database and like create like the structure of the database, the function, or do you have to connect it to something else like for this project?
Yeah, so this is the product that I love a lot. There's a no-code tool that I really love also that allows us to do that. It's called Xano, X-A-N-O. I don't know if you ever heard about it, but it's basically a no-code tool that allows you to create database, create all of your own REST API endpoints, do all the logic in the backend. It's extremely powerful. I can just show their website real quick. But what's interesting is they have, so that's the Xano.com here, think visually, so you can build basically all of your database. And what's nice, and the way I discovered Xano, is actually the fact that in weweb, there's a native integration with Xano. So weweb, they only position themselves as a front-end building platform, and when you want to create any backend, you have to connect it with external backend or Xano if you want to do it yourself. Or Supabase as well, it's working well with Supabase, yeah. As you can see here. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. I'm done.
Thank you. Okay. I guess you have questions, so it's the time to ask us questions for like the three of us, if you have any.
Before we closing.
Yes. Oh, wait. I saw you in the back first. Yes.
Yes, you need to recreate your design system, unfortunately. There's a Figma integration, but it's not working perfectly, I would say, so you kind of need to recreate stuff.
Yes, how many active subscriptions do you have currently?
Me?
All of you.
What do you mean? What's the question?
The number of active subscriptions on the tools.
Which one?
No, how much are you paying per month? Like,
You mean like Cursor, like all those ones?
yeah.
So Cursor, it's 20 per month. ChatGPT Plus is also, most of them are like 20 per month. You're paying for all of them? No, I'm just using Cursor and ChatGPT. Oula. And the ChatGPT Plus, that's the only two I use. Because there is so many of them, so you can always try and then pick the one you prefer. But that's also the issue. There is so much new things on the market. Like, we had the presentation prepared, and then Lovable was like, hey, like 2 days ago, like V2, so we had to go look into the new tool. So everything is changing, so use the free version. You can try and have a good like understanding of the tool with like just the free version. Everyone will go. Okay. So on my side, at work, like in my current job, mostly like the prototyping UX part of the project. So one example was like we had a requirement. It was like a form, and I'm like, you know what? We want to test different version. So I think those tools are great because it's text field drop downs. It's very easy. So I was able to have like 5 prototypes. The issue is like to share. It's very annoying to share any of those like in production now. So I did like a video of me using all of them, explaining the UX to my PM. And then we chose the one we wanted. And then I went back into Figma to have the proper like final design and documentation. But it was very fast to just like iterate. We have 5 ideas. It took me like half a day to do the 5 ideas, to give you an idea.
Well, I think it's like prototyping all the flow that I wanted to express and demonstrate to my stakeholder, or to use for user tests. That's actually a great use case. But I know that Maxence actually created his own personal app on his phone. So that's pretty interesting to be able to publish a live application. That's I think the most complex part, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. With all these applications, do you worry about, or do you have to deal with non-disclosure agreements with your clients?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, is there a workaround or it's
Oh, it's
kind of-
just I fake it. I fake it the most of it.
For example, for tonight, what you saw was just like personal stuff, except for you, like it's a real like product. But yeah, but that's the tricky part with all those tools, because also like for companies, when you use AI, it's like how the data is being used. So be careful like what your company is doing. For example, like we have like partnership with like specific providers. So internally, we use only those tools. So be careful, like don't like at work like drop a Figma in Lovable like in your free account. I would not recommend you doing this. So be careful.
Maybe I can add something. Yes, just for us, for Circomedical, it's a little complex because we're a telehealth company and we cannot post what we call PHI, so personal health information in ChatGPT, for instance. And also, I presented this project, but the other massive project I'm actually working on is we're building a web-based EHR actually internally also. It's an electronic health record. So it's all the medical providers that are using that on a daily basis. There's a team in engineering building that. And this is now becoming more and more powered by AI. So basically the provider can use AI in the tool. So we're kind of, let's say, like building a Lovable. So we're building a tool that uses AI in the first place. And for us, the complexity for that was we needed to have a BAA with OpenAI, Cloud, Gemini. A BAA is a business associate agreement, I think, with those companies. So you need to sign a contract. So they're not going to train on your data, for instance. They're not going to take the data that you're putting in there. It's either like patient data or client data. So when it gets like a little more complex or serious, sometimes you can do some partnership with those companies in order to have some models that are more like secure, I would say.
Please raise your hand if you have a question so we can give you a mic so everyone can hear it.
I just wanted to know if you tried the functionality of publishing, and I wanted to know if it's good enough or not.
So with the Fig Jam, we'll share with you after the event. I published the 3 websites from Lovable for like each use case, so you can see how good or bad they are. I think it depends. Like I think those tools, they are very good for like a very basic, like you said on Onlook. Yes, you can publish, but I think if you have like real data, like a complex project like you showed, or like no, I don't. That will not make the cut for sure. You can always try. I've seen comments of people like, "Oh, I published this app. I've been doing this app just vibe coding it, and they had issues with the like hacking and stuff later on." I don't know if that's true, but just test to like put stuff. Okay. Very basic stuff, but I wouldn't publish a full. With like database security app. If it's simple, yes, maybe.
I think for your portfolio, if you're lazy, that's the perfect example. You know. Other question? We done? Oh, yeah, Elisha?
Oh, this is strong. Oh, you have to close. Okay. So, yeah, I think it's strong, right?
Let's try this one.
Okay. So the question is, like, we saw a bunch of tools today, and it's like really exciting to see like how you can speed up like not only design but development. But what do you guys think like designers should pick up on? I think
Yes.
we're all at different stages of this. Some people use it, some people don't. But I see this as like it's gonna change kind of like how teams work, how products get launched, and
Yeah.
it's kind of we can all speculate on like how.
Okay, we're gonna move to the takeaway in this case because it's the perfect segue for that. You want to do it? Okay. So yeah, use case for designer. Basically, rapid prototyping and for testing user flow. You always wanted to try to do a user test that look very realistic. Well, that's the perfect tool. You're publishing, you put this link to usertesting.com, boom, you have your test, okay? You just prove your point or prove your flow. Also for design code validation and for microcopy experimentation. You know, again, if you want to test different copy, that's the perfect tool for that. And lastly, for accessibility check, I run an accessibility check that was really basic, like color contrast. I know it's not that crazy. But for stakeholder demo, if you want to use this tool to gain more power to the table, that's the perfect tool. If you are having a voice to the table. So yeah, and the essential skill for vibe coding, I would say it's like, you need to like understand how AI works in the back end in a way. You have to also keep your critical thinking skills, because as you saw, like that was ugly. What we saw was not really pretty. And you need to understand like, okay, that's great, but what if the filter is actually working but not accordingly to heuristic principle? Not that much, you know. There was maybe I wanted to check many filter and same one and having a clear view of what is checked, you know. You need to understand at least how the prompt engineering work to get familiar with version control like GitHub. I think you're a great example of that. And also understanding how the developer work, the developer mindset. So I made this workflow for you. That's very beta, like we're just like on the beginning of this new trend. It's defining, ideate, refine, and testing, as we saw. But wonder if someone here recognize a bit this schema already? Yeah. What do you think you recognize of that? What? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So basically, if you mastering all this principle, you will get familiar. So keep in mind to be critical when you're designing, and keep your design principle, because it's applying to this process too. But of course, you need to know your user first. You know, you have to understand your user. That's not what the AI will help you to do. You can continue. So yeah, we will encourage you to just like try to embrace the wave, because this is like very important development since a couple years ago, and try to understand that it's great for prototyping great ID and enable a rapid pivoting. But most of it helps you to create your product market fit. And that's an example for Alex. With this tool, he was able to actually create this product market fit and to test many times until we refine the perfect version. Want to add something?
Yeah, I can add maybe. I'm still thinking about the question, what's the cache actually? And it could be linked to all of that. I think maybe for, like as weweb, for instance, for a software developer, it looks like a cheap way to build software. Like they prefer coding it from scratch. And for developer, maybe it looked a little too technical, because I must admit I had a little learning curve actually in order to get there. I needed to better understand what a REST API is, how to create variable, in which context, what the function is, when you should create a function and why. And I think as a designer, that's something, like my tip would be to be more curious about how software engineering works in general. I think that's part of our work. Actually, we're designing solutions that are being coded after, and you need to understand how code works in order to figure out what to design and how to use those tools actually. Because if you're not understanding what you're basically creating, it's a little hard. Like if you don't understand the big line of what's under the hood, it's a little hard sometimes to be able to do that transition. So for me, maybe my tip would be to get curious and try to better understand this world.
There is a great tutor, so if you have any question about like how you should understand the code, how you want to do some stuff, you can always go back and ask the AI like, hey, I want to achieve this. Can you explain to me how this works? You have like this tutor with you all the time, and because it's trained so much on like code and knows so much of like coding, it's great. You can just ask question. If you don't know something, just ask and keep asking. That's how I was able to do some of the stuff I was experimenting with, like just asking, explain to me this, why is this not working? And the AI will look at the code and tell you like, oh, I'm missing those elements because, you know, It's not perfect. So just be a designer and ask questions. You'll see.
And of course, the con of this is I saw it's lacking of taste. So we're not here to replace designer or developer or even product manager. But I wonder, raise your hand if you are a HR in the room. HR people. No? Okay. They left. I was curious. I guess it's not interesting for them yet. But that would be interesting to see what they think about it. What if they think that's a necessary skill to develop to get interesting by the HR, you know, and you still to be an expert over the side. Basically, like you will not be replaced because it's just a tool, and to understand human, it's only by having a conversation like tonight we're gonna have, you know. It's not something that the AI will replace, and if we rely all of that, it's just gonna create like a very basic vanilla design. And flexibility is necessary. Team need to adjust and to get the feedback, but if you don't catch the wave, you will miss like the opportunity to learn more about how to having more influence in your company, in your manager, you know. Yeah, we can finish on that. Again, give us feedback, enjoy the Slack. We will be on the side to ask more questions of you, and join us. Last slide. We're gonna do a big recap. So Damien and I, we actually going to San Francisco for seeing the new conference, and we're gonna come back in May to show you live demo of new update. Okay, so I will invite you to go at Ubisoft next month. And lastly, I wanted to mention Damien and I, we are a bit overwhelmed by the work of organizing events. Okay, so if you want to help us, if you're interested to participate to the community, raise your hand, come to see us, and we'll see if we can work together. Thank you. Lastly, like okay, I'm done after that. If you are HR, if you're recruiting someone, if you're looking for hiring people, come on the stage and offer your job posting. Any company hiring? No? Yes? No? Nobody? Yes? Come. No? You're hiring?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I was not prepared to do a speech today, but CGI is hiring product designers, researchers, and accessibility experts. In my team, we're actually building a global design system, and I need an accessibility expert. So, reach.
Thank you. Other? No? Okay. Thank you, everyone. We're going to close on that. Do you have other things to say?
Yes. Yeah, if you have any more questions, you want to do some tests, I'll be on the side, we'll be on the side. I just want to close and say, before we use like paper and pen, we use like Photoshop. Then we had like Sketch, we have Figma. This is a new thing, so try and have fun. You can see you can have fun with this and not just be scared. That would be my takeaway. You want to ask something?
One last takeaway, maybe. Regarding AI, actually, everything I did and all the technical knowledge that I gained was actually through AI, actually. I use ChatGPT quite a lot for education purposes. I don't understand how things work. How can I do that? What's a REST API? How can I, in this scenario, do this and that? And AI has a lot of answers to that. Sometimes big part of my education was a mix of YouTube videos and AI, I must admit. So be curious and think about AI when you're wondering how things work. It's actually really helpful.